Merce, where did it all start for you? When you was at school? At what age was you like? People saw you and went, "Bleeding hell, this kid can play." Was it where?
To be fair, Harry, in them days there wasn't any academies like there is now. I mean, Freddie's 6 and he's at Arsenal and Chelsea at the moment, and it's nothing like that. I mean, it's mind blowing some of the stuff these kids can do now with the ball. And it was just like my dad. It's just, if it wasn't for my dad, I wouldn't have been a footballer. It was easy as that. It's the sacrifice taking me down the park, and then I started playing for a couple of Sunday teams. I played for Belmont United and Forest United, who Tim Sherwood played for, and a few other lads. So, and then you get picked by the district, and I was playing at Brent at the time, and then Watford come in for me. A man called Tommy Darling come in and said, "Would you come to Watford?" And I loved it there, absolutely loved it. I remember I smashed my knee up on the estate where I moved on to a council estate, and I remember having to go to Watford to see Bertie Mee, God bless him, the great Bertie Mee. And he said to me, "Your knee will be all right. It'll be all right. You'll be able to play football again." And for 2 years, I was going training with Watford from 12 to 14. And then Arsenal coming for me. And my dad's a massive Arsenal fan. And he wanted me to sign for Arsenal. And I didn't want to sign. I didn't. I loved it at Watford. I didn't think I was great. I just thought I struggled with my nerves. And I thought I might have a chance at Watford. It was a great little club. And I still remember today, I'm 53 now, and I was 14. I still remember running up the stairs at 1 o'clock in the morning, crying my eyes out because I just signed for Arsenal. Because I just didn't want to sign. But
thank you was God, happy at Watford.
Yeah, but thank God I listened to my dad in the end. My God.
Yeah. Great move for you. But brilliant, though. Great. Was there other clubs after you, Merce, or was you an England schoolboy international? Or?
No, a million miles. I played for the district. I played for the county once when they were desperate for players. Honestly, when they were desperate for players.
Isn't it amazing?
I played for the county once, and that was it. I mean, I try and tell these dads now when you go to these academies, for how great these kids are, they still got another 10 solid years. Do you know what I mean? 10 solid years.
I know.
But you can see the way they're producing them now. When you see your Fodens and what Sterling was doing the year before, and Grealish and Mount and James. I mean, the kids coming through now, it's different, isn't it? They're so quick and comfortable on the ball.
I mean, I'm like Merce. I lived on a massive council estate, so there was so many kids there, and like whoever had the football, you was the king of the estate. You had a ball, plastic, one of the old Fido used to spat 4 bob.
Yeah,
5
the old
bob
wall
to buy.
wall was ball.
And you had the ball, so you was like captain, weren't you? You'd pick the team,
until the neighbour put a knife in it, and then that was it.
Yeah, that's what used to happen to us.
Yeah, all the time.
We had the porters would come round. You had like porters who would look after the estate, 3 or 4 of them, and they'd chase you off and try to grab your ball and nick your ball off you. And then one of the dads, there was all dockers, my dad was a docker, and then they'd come out and they'd go and knock on, get up porter and scare him to death and get the ball back, And that was how it was. It was another world, but we just played football in there.
I mean, I used to play in the street and then we'd go down the park. And on a Saturday, my mum would say, my mum and dad, you can go down the park, make sure you're back before dark. I mean, that was at like 8 and 9 and 10. I mean, there was no worries. I wouldn't let my kids to the end of the road now. And
George was great to play for.
We wouldn't have won anything without George, if I'm being honest. I really do mean that. We were a good, hard-working football team. We had good players, but we played to a shape. It was very tactically, it was very acute at tactics, and that was the way it was. And and I honestly think I wouldn't have won anything without him. The training was mundane, don't get me wrong. Like what's it today? It's 6th, whatever the date is today. Like I could tell you what I was going to be doing on Tuesday, the 16th of November.
Yeah.
Next year, not this year, next year, and that's what it was like. But we won trophies. He won trophies. When he give out contracts, he give the contracts out like it was his money. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it was the honour of playing for Arsenal more so than the money, which was great, really. I mean, I was on more money, Harry, for winning a football match and playing on a Saturday than what my wages were.
Yeah.
And I think that helps along the way. I think it helps kids. I mean, if you want to give these kids $100,000 a week and they're top draw players and you want to do that, fair play. but you've got to break it down, you know, something like 33 grand a week wages, 33 grand if you play Saturday, and 33 grand if you win the game. There's your 99, there's your 100 grand. And that's because it's not the player, is it? How hard is it, Harry? If someone said to you, here's 100 grand a week, you've got to improve. I mean, it's hard. It's hard for these lads. You know what I mean? You know, so, you know, good luck to them.
Incentives important, aren't they? Give them incentives.
They are. I mean, and it's hard because George used to say to me all the time when I was going out and all that, it's a short career. You better make the most of it. And you're 21, you're living the dream. You're playing at Arsenal. You know, when you're playing for Arsenal, when you're the first team, you look like David Beckham. It's as simple as that, isn't it? You know, you do. You walk in anywhere and, you know, everybody thinks you're the best looking bloke you've ever seen in your life. You know, that soon stops when you leave. I'm not going to lie, but you know, and then George is telling you it goes so quickly, and you think, of course it don't. I'm 21, I've got years left, and it does. It flies. It absolutely flies. And
yeah, it's incredible.
You know, and he was a great manager.
Yeah, George.
Hell of a team, wasn't it?
It was a good team. I mean, it was a team that would run through a brick wall for each other, and that's what the name of the game is. If you can get players to run, as a manager, Harry will tell you, if you can get players to give their absolute all on a Saturday for you, you've done your job. You know, the skill and the touch and whatever happens during the game, that just happens. But the one thing that does happen is you can you just hope them players just run through a brick wall for you, and that's what we've done for George.
This free trade investment app is terrific. If you've ever thought about investing, this is a great way to start and to grow some wealth over the long term. It's so simple, anybody can use it. Come here, I'll show you. You can buy and sell stocks plus ETFs with none of your high commission fees you might get elsewhere. It's commission free and there's no hidden cost. Brilliant for beginners and experts. The free trade app is trusted by over 700,000 investors. Even better, if you register and fund your account via freetrade.io/Harry, you get a free share worth between £3 and £200. Oh yeah, and don't forget that when investing, your capital is always at risk, meaning your investment can go up, but they can also go down. Other charges may apply. Friday night, Merce, when I was a young player at West Ham, we used to go to West Ham dog track Friday night before a game on a Saturday.
Really?
The whole team. We'd all be there. I was a kid, I'm 18. There's like Budgie Byrne, Alan Seeley, all players that were, you know, senior players, England, John Bond. They'd all be at West Ham Dogs on a Friday night. We'd all go. And we didn't sit out the way somewhere. We didn't have like hospitality or anything. We just stood on the steps, chatting, rush down to have a bit of 6 to 4 and the 5 dog or something and back up.
Yeah. Everybody go charging down.
Yeah, that was our Friday nights. That's what we done.
The bookmaker would be like, "Oh my God, I didn't mean to put that up."
Yeah, and that's what we done.
4, not 7 to 4.
But that's what you was into it, weren't you? Did you have senior players at the club though? Got you into it or not in your time?
No, they did. No, none of them really. None of them gambled. No, it was weird. Yeah, it was like me and a mate of mine in the youth team called Wesley Reed. At the time, it was me and him. But the older players never really. I sort of got them involved in the end. We'd be playing cards and things like that. I mean, George would be sending Theo onto the coach like at 2:00. Get them off the coach. They're still playing cards at the back. Yeah, I mean, I had it sussed up. We had like a halfway room at Arsenal, where a TV room. I'd be in there. I'd time it all right. So when we went out for the warm up, I wouldn't go out for a warm up. I'd warm up in there and watch the racing, and then I'd run back in the dressing room straight at the half time. Come in at half time, I'd run up the tunnel because the game stopped at 3:45. There was no 2 or 3 minutes, was there? It was bang, 3:45, game stopped. I'd run up and I'd run into the halfway house to get the 3:45 race, to get the back end of it. And then George would be doing a team talk and all that, and then I'd run in, just say, "Sorry, I was talking to the ref." And that's what it was like. It was mayhem. It was when I look back now, it was just so unnormal. But you know, I mean, I won the league, Harry, in 91. You put this in perspective. I won the league in 91 and moved house from a 1-bedroom to a 3-bedroom house. And the next 2 days later, after winning the league, I'm sitting in my new house and I can't afford carpet.
Yeah.
because of gambling. I can't afford carpet. I gambled the money away instead of buying carpet.
Yeah.
And that was the madness of it, you know. And that was what was that? Oh, that was 91. So I'm 23 then. I mean, this carried on then for another till 9 months ago.
Yeah, incredible. But you've done a miracle, Merce. You've done a miracle.
Cool, not many.
As a fella punter, I know, don't I? I mean, you know.
Oh yeah, you know what it's like. You know, someone said to me the other day, he said, how much you lost? And it weren't how much. It was time. I lost time. That was it. I lost time. People say to me, you know, I remember the what's name game, Portsmouth winning the league like it was yesterday. That was I couldn't tell you too much about 89. You know, after the game, what we did. You know, I have to have Perry Groves to do that because all I was worried about was having a drink and all that kind of stuff and having a bet and what I'm going to do with the bonus money. And, you know, it was always like that.
Who are you going to pay off? Who do you owe a few quid to?
Always. It was one hand into the other. It was never, I never ever got anything and it was mine. Never.
Well, it's like that. I mean, you know, when you look at Stan Bowles and people, Stan was like you. I mean, Stan, they say, you know, Stan would be in the betting shop just up the road and sort of half time and that he'd be, or before he'd be in there watching a 2:45 race, you know, before going back in the dressing room. And, you know, it was you didn't have many, as you say, Merce, at Arsenal, but, you know, when I grew up, as I say, at West Ham, it was the whole club. I mean, we had a player, Merce, called Johnny Byrne. I don't know if you remember Budgie. Budgie was the England World Cup. He was in the World Cup squad. Budgie was he was a genius, centre forward. 5'8", played up front. He could just play. He called him Budgie because he always chatting, you know. massive, a punter, right? A proper punter, you know. Friday mornings, Merce, we used to train at the ground. Friday mornings, at West Ham, Chapel Heath would be where you train all week. But Fridays, you always went to the stadium and trained. And you did your own thing. Friday mornings, you'd come in, you'd go and have, if you wanted to do a few sprints around the cinder track, you know, on the outside of the pitch, you could. Do whatever you wanted. It was a free morning, you know, just got yourself ready for Saturday. There was no set plays or anything else in them days. And Budgie, his Friday morning, he used to have a walk round, go and sit in the far corner. Paddy, one of the groundsmen, Paddy O'Leary, Paddy would bring him out a cup of tea and he'd have the Sporting Life. And he used to sit in the corner, Budgie, with a pen for about an hour, reading this, and writing his bets out. That was his Friday morning warm-up.
About that big, wasn't it?
Yeah, big, massive, big paper. And then he'd go out Saturday and destroy teams. You know, Jim Standen used to kick. They beat Leeds one day, 7 at home. I was like 17. I was on the verge of the team at the time, but Budgie played up front that night at West Ham. And the goalkeeper was he's catching him on his chest and volleying him out to the wings, backing into Jack Charlton and Norman Hunter, and destroyed them. And they beat them 7. Budgie but what a punter. I mean, he lived, you know, but and that was how it was.
Yeah, that was the norm.
Lived hard for sure. I mean, yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, we can't, like the saying, burn the candle at both ends.
Every club had that drinking culture back in them days, didn't they?
Yeah, it was a leveler, and then we worked harder, and that was the name of the game.
I mean, we used to play, and by 5:30, we'd all be around the Black Lion pub in Plaistow. Everybody, all the team.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We used to go to the Gunners or the pub round the corner straight after a game and stand with the fans.
With the punters, yeah, that's how it was, yeah.
Stand like that's how it was. It was just literally like that. You just straight after the game, you'd be like, bang. I remember, like we met up for. I mean, drinking way. I mean, what am I now? 29 months without a drink. But I remember we were on top of the Pops. We had a cup final song, so we all met in the Gunners Wine Bar about 12 o'clock, and then we was all off to top of the Pops to do the old song on stage. So we get in there, we start having a drink. All of a sudden, bang, cars are here to take us to the top of the Pops. I ain't going. I'm staying here. I stayed there waiting for them to get back. I'm watching it the next week, Thursday night. Mrs. sitting watching Top of the Pops. She's going, "Where are you on that?" I went, "I'm at the back. You can't see me." I thought, that'll be my luck if this goes to number 1.
Oh, no. They'll get about £1 million out of it, yeah.
Harry and George Graham are the best two managers I played under by a distance, if I'm being honest. Tactically, knowing tactics, sorting teams out. You know, I remember like when Harry brought in, he brought in like 10 new free transfers. Like everybody was a free transfer, but it was like everybody was brought in a position. It weren't like you see some clubs now and they go and buy in for 50 million, in for 40, in for 60. And then all of a sudden you sit down and you go, where are they all going to play? And Harry brought them all in and it was like, it was just go out and play. And I remember, because Harry said they finished bottom six every year. They have to win one of their last games of the season to stay up. And I remember we played Forest at home first game. There was 19,000 there. And like I played well that game. I didn't score, but I played well. And I thought, cool, we got a chance here. And then we went to Palace on the Monday, Bank Holiday Monday, and Dougie Freeman ripped us to shreds in the first half. We're 2-0 down. It could have been 100-0. I'm not exaggerating. We had a gold kit on. We looked the part before the game. At half-time, we're walking off, and I thought, I know what's going to happen. We're going to win the odd game at home, and we're going to get absolutely slaughtered every away game. And Harry come in, and he went off, on, free at the back, you in the old Merce, wing-backs get forward, and let's go from there. And we won the game 3-2. And I thought, my God, how did you see that? And that it tactically unbelievable. I couldn't believe it because I sat there and I thought, wow, God, how you've just turned the game on its head. And tactically, as good as anybody. I hear people when they go, Harry Redknapp, wheeler dealer. It gets on my nerves. I hate it. I hate that word. It's like when someone calls their dad their old man. It's just one of them things I just hate. You know, Harry's tactically as good as anybody I've ever worked with. And knowing a player was just unbelievable. I mean, I trained twice a week and I played every game bar one game all season. And that just shows you, you know, how good he was.
What was it like playing for England and at those major tournaments?
It was an honour to play for England. I mean, it was an honour. It's completely different to the Premier League, completely different to playing for your club. You know, players are different. You know, you've got to get used to a system. I never performed at international level. You know, I put my hand on my heart. I never really once come off a football pitch and thought I felt at home there. I was good. You know, I wasn't. I struggled taking my form to England. I just found it. I found it difficult. Yeah, I honestly can't remember ever coming off a pitch. Part of the B team. I played in the B team a couple of times, and that was very easy if I'm being honest. But that was B team. That was players on the fringe. So I was in international football. I was probably one of them players that was too good for the Championship and not good enough for the Premier League. I was stuck in between.
Merce, listen, thanks ever so much for doing
Pleasure.
this today.
Anytime,
I love
Harry,
talking to you, and
anytime.
I'm so pleased that you know keep it going, Merce. Keep it going, mate.